Good evening, good evening, good evening again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers. If you are not familiar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, please pull up the description box. You will find all the pertinent links. In particular, I want you to note the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics, in which they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's so called behavior modification program. The JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not get it off the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so please, if you could, read that article and share it on all your social media. You'll also find NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC sees through with their threat. Trigger warning. When we talk about places like Agape Boarding School for Boys or the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, folks, please go ahead and utilize those headphones, all right? Another trigger warning. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, parental supervision is advised. All right, where we left off. According to Elfert, many graduates go on to work for non-profits as special education counselors or become teachers themselves. She explains that ABA is an extensive field existing outside of autism-focused care. Indeed, the ABA core principle is operant conditioning, a subset of behaviorism that has many issues in various disciplines. See what it's talking about? Conditioning us to be more neurotypical. You see why that falls flat on its face? Do you? Because I cannot be conditioned to become more neurotypical like. Okay? Because that's not who I am. It's not how my brain works or how my neurons fire. Okay? However, in ABA, the compliance code and the BACB code of ethics doesn't differentiate between a human child and a corporation, which begs the question what kind of protection it offers and for whom. Nowhere does it explicitly prohibit abusive techniques or require informed consent from the learner outside a parent, carer, or even corporation signature. You see, it's kind of saying two things here. First off, there is no certain language within ABA therapy that speaks to any form of protection that we could expect to have as the person who's receiving it. Nor does it with any kind of explicit language denounce such forms of adversive therapies like are used by the Judge Rotenberg Center. You see what I mean as to why we are sticklers for details in the language? Because we're dealing with multi-billions of dollars, folks. Okay? It's all about the Benjamins. Okay? Also, with ABA, as well as anything else in the medical model, let me be blunt, trigger warning, I'm gonna cuss. They don't give a shit what we consent to. Let me put it blunt. And as a jaded autistic pushing 40, they still don't care. what I think. Okay? They don't care whether they have my consent or not, which is why I've become the jaded autistic you see before you, because I know I can't trust them. Okay? Know that I know that I know. All right? You are dealing with a style of therapy that does not concern itself with whether the person that is going through it, whether they consent to it or not. All right? It's a worrying position, giving the first imperative of any treatment should be to see to a patient as a human being, not a corporation or abstraction. We're caricatures, folks. Autistics have been used so much by so many, and so many parents have grubbed off of our diagnosis and put our meltdowns videos on YouTube for the world to see, including the possibility of our potential future boss. When I say nobody cares about our consent, I mean that with a good number of parents as well. Okay? We're caricatures to them. We're not human beings. We are a mixture of all the worst things they have seen about our diagnosis rolled into one. Okay? That's how they see us. Just little caricatures. Like a two-dimensional character written by a 12-year-old trying to do their first fan fiction. Okay? I hope you understand that. Because by and large, when it comes to these treatments that we are talking about, the consent of the individual that has to experience this so-called treatment is never even once brought into consideration. Okay? Not even offhand. That is why I champion treatment programs like the person-centered planning. And the main reason being, the person who's making the decisions at the end of the day is numero uno. We're going to close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. As always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I will see you the last vid. I was going to spill tea on myself, folks. Good night, everyone.